Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is mixtressrae, and you're watching Mixtress Video. Sorry you guys didn't get to see me light the candle, but I started recording and then I realized I needed to start over. So that's where we are today. I wanted to do, okay, so what I'm doing today, I already did my top 5 tarot decks of the year, and I wasn't planning to do people have there's been a VR going around with people doing the top 5 tarot decks that came out this year. And I wasn't sure if I could do that, but then I sat down because I only own 25 decks. One is still on its way to me. It's coming from Singapore. I'm Casper from Boy Diviner channel. Thank you. Thank you in advance. It's still not here, but it's only been 3 weeks. And, shipping is crazy right now, just in general, but also because of the holidays. So I'm not worried or anything. But the tracking disappeared as soon as it got to the United States. It got to the United States about 10 days ago, 11 days ago. So it could come anytime. So, but anyway, I only have 25 decks, so I wasn't sure if I could do the one that's the top 5 that came out this year. But I sat down and I looked them all up, and I'm like, oh, I actually have 7 decks still in my possession that came out this year. I actually, more than that, went through my fingers this year, but I use, assess, and pass on decks pretty quickly. Like, the turnaround time with decks in my life is pretty quick, actually. So RIP to the ones that I've already passed on. Yeah, but my top 5 decks that came out this year, because I own 7 from this year, I had to put this in here. Look at this cute little, it's like I got this for Christmas. It's like a tree thing with these gorgeous little Victorian hands on it. So I'm not sure what I'm using it for yet, but for today, it's holding my little business card as a subtle reminder that you can get readings from me anytime if you want, if you so choose. It's just right here. No big deal. Okay, so let's do it countdown style. This is my 5th favorite tarot deck of the year. Which is kind of interesting that I picked this one because I don't actually use this one as a tarot deck. This is the Dark Goddess Tarot, and this is one that's been out. It's been out for years and years, but it just came out in mass market form. And this is one, like I said, I don't really use it as a tarot deck. I usually will use it, I do use it as a tarot deck in the sense that I will use it in a certain position in basic spreads. So in my Ankh spread that I do for my hour readings most of the time, which is just my version of the Celtic cross spread. It's just in the shape of an Ankh instead of a cross. I use this deck often for the card that is at the top of the spread. That is the message from your ghost guides and goddesses, is how I view that one. How I view that particular position. Because this way you get if this is the one that you pull, you get Persephone as your goddess, and then her message to you is the Judgment card, liberation, in this deck. So I like using this deck for that, and I also really like this deck for just goddess study in general, because the guidebook is really awesome. I love the guidebook. There are things that I don't like about this deck aesthetically. Just might as well go over them. We're only going through 5 decks today. I don't like the banners at the top. That's sort of I don't know, aged looking situation. I do like the font at the bottom though. I don't like the card backs. I don't like the type of cardstock. It's that it's more flexible, but it's that so super shiny, thick cardstock, similar to what Liminal 11 uses, which is one of my least favorite cardstocks. But that said, this is in my 5th favorite deck that came out this year spot, because this is one that I don't know, it's just, it feels special to me, even though I don't actually work with it that much. Do you guys have decks like that that's like, I, I mean, I'm, like I said, I'm really good at letting go of decks if I don't like them. But this deck, for some reason, even though I hardly ever get it out, it's just sort of like, it it feels familiar to me. So it's just like, there's no question. Like, I don't think I'll ever get rid of it. Okay, in the number 4 spot, decks that came out this year, the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. This one's one that, oh, hands, I love hands. This is one that I've only had, I don't know, maybe 2 months now or so. And here's the backs. I love the backs. This is that great, like, swishy kind of like Wild Unknown type cardstock. Not too matte, not too shiny. And this one's really cool because it's like, it's a collage-y, old-timey sort of deck, but it has a twist to it because it's very RWS based, but it has the like night sky background in all of them. So it has sort of a gothic twist. And then she's also, she being, what is your name, artist? Lindsay Silverman. She's also like darkened the skin tone of some of these figures so that you have diversity in art that didn't previously have it, which I like. But she also used, you know, art from lots of different cultures. And there's a lot of symbolism in this, and it's very accessible. So this is a goddess deck that isn't depicting specific goddesses usually, but it's just kind of in the form of like, y'all are all goddesses, okay? We're all goddesses. I really like that she renamed the king's spirits. That works for me really well. So this is one that like I haven't had that long, but it's an accessible goddess deck to me because it's very RWS. And the collage style is very interesting. Ugh, love this devil card. Bat wings. Tomorrow I have my bat wings tattoo scheduled. I'm getting bat wings on my back. I'm very excited. I'm sure I'll post pictures on Instagram, so go check it out if you want. The only thing, okay, I just did the thing that I knew I wasn't supposed to do, which is put the book in the bottom of the box. Because this is a very tight box, so I have to put the book on the top or else it doesn't go well. Okay, there we go. So that is my number 4 favorite deck that came out this year. Number 3 is Lost Hollow Tarot. By Pixel Occult. Oh, huge shout out and thank you to Sheriff. I hope I'm saying your name right. I had posted when I was doing like my review of this deck, I had posted that when I got the Kickstarter, I got like, he sent like really cool little letterpress prints, and he sent with mine, I got the Fool card and the Wheel of Fortune card. But I had seen online that other people had gotten the Two of Swords as one of their letterpress prints. So I had posted on my video, if anybody wants to trade the Wheel of Fortune for the Two of Swords, I would love to have it. And awesome person, Sheriff, she sent me her Two of Swords, and I sent her my Wheel of Fortune, and I'm so happy to have this. It is gorgeous, and it makes me so happy. This is like, Two of Swords is one of my cards. Like, as you can see, it's on my business card here. Two of Swords is a Libra card. Two of Swords is probably my favorite card in the tarot. It's a big deal to me. It has a lot of meaning to me personally. So I really, really am very happy to have that. So this is the Lost Hollow Tarot. I love the cardstock. It has this gorgeous linen finish. It's very flexible. It's very diverse. It's very esoteric. It's got a lot of symbolism going in it. This one's difficult for me though. Like, I love looking at the imagery, even though it's in my third place position. I love looking at the imagery. I feel like my camera is just like, nope, we're not going to focus on anything, so deal with that. I love the, like, I've called it a 3-color deck before, but I mean, it's more like a 4-color deck because it's black, white, red, and gray. But gray is just light black, right? I'm a little put off by the keywords. As often happens with me and keywords on decks, like usually when I first get them, I'm like, okay, I'm fine. I thought I wasn't gonna like the keywords, but they're fine. But then I quickly cycle back around to, no, I don't like them. I don't like the cruelty of the 9 of Swords. But anyway, so this deck has just been a little bit, how gorgeous is this star card though? So I feel like certain aspects of this deck feel inaccessible to me, but it feels like it's just on the edge of, there's this psychological term called the zone of proximal development. I believe it's in behavioral psychology. I love that there is a crow in every major arcana card. So the crow is sort of the fool. The crow is the fool. Let's find the fool card and I'll show you that the crow is the fool. It's possible. Oh, I can't show you because it's on my altar. It's my card of the day. So it's not here. But just trust me, the crow is the fool. So I like that you get to follow the crow through the entire major arcana. So there's this term in behavioral psychology, I believe it might be a different type of psychology, called the zone of proximal development. And it's basically a theory that, like, it's originated with, like, the learning style of children. It's about learning styles. And it's basically whenever you're trying to learn something as a child or as an adult, it has to be something that is a little bit outside your reach, but you can reach out and grab it, kind of thing. Like, that makes it, that's a bad way of explaining it. But essentially the zone of, you have to get in that sweet spot of the zone of proximal development, which basically means you have to find out each kid's, like, what they already know. You need to find out what they already know and what they're already comfortable with, so that you can teach them something that's just outside of their comfort zone but isn't too far outside of it. Because if it's too far outside of it, then they can't reach it. So this deck feels like it's kind of in the sweet spot of my zone of proximal development. Like, it's more esoteric and arcane in its symbolism than I usually like, but it still has aspects of the RWS system, so that, you know, I feel slightly uncomfortable when I use this deck as far as, like, reading the symbolism and stuff. But it's not too far outside my comfort zone. Like, I feel like we're gonna have a deep relationship once we, like, move through this moment of me still reaching for the symbolism, kind of thing, if that makes sense. Like, this one's, as I said before, my thothiest deck. It's got a lot of Thoth symbolism in it, but it's not inaccessible to me the way the Thoth decks are. So anyway, this one is, like, one that intrigues me, and I know that I'm going to be working more with it. I actually got it out this week, and every time I try to get this deck out as my, like, deck of the week, I make it till, like, Wednesday or Thursday before I switch decks. So it's like, I have to get it out, and every time I get it out, I use it for a little bit longer, and then I'm like, no, I'm uncomfortable, and I put it back. I don't know what that is. Like, the art is gorgeous, but, like, just using this deck for me is just a little outside my comfort zone. But it's still my number 3 because I think it's a really well done deck, and this is the fastest Kickstarter ever. Like, I backed it, and within, like, a month and a half, I already had it in my hands. So this was so smooth and so painless. I know he's very experienced. Like, this is his, like, 6th deck he's put on Kickstarter or something like that. Maybe even he's had more. But this one, my number 3. Take a drink of coffee real quick. You guys, you know what I did this morning? I had one less cup of coffee than I would like to have had today, because I had just filled my cup of coffee up. I went upstairs to like put on my rings and put on some perfume and get ready for this video. And I had my full cup of coffee, and I took, so I have this, let me show you what it looks like. I just got these like little wand caps for my perfume, for some of my perfumes. And I had one that I had taken out of a perfume that I think I'm going to get rid of. And so I had it sitting out after I'd like cleaned it off, but it still smelled like the perfume. And I knocked it off of my dresser and it fell straight into my coffee mug. And usually I'm the type of person that I would have just taken it out and drank it anyway, even though it tasted like perfume. I would have just done it, but I forced myself to be like, no, you do not want to drink a cup of coffee that tastes like perfume. Not only does it taste like perfume, but it will taste like the perfume that you don't really like. Don't do that to yourself. So I forced myself to pour out an entire cup of coffee, which I have never done before in my life. So I'm growing up. I'm growing up, guys. Okay. Sorry for the little tangent. So I'm on my last cup of coffee. What I'd really like to have another after this. So maybe I'll just make more. But I had to waste coffee today, guys. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting all the fur off of this bag before I show you what my number 2 is. I'm not getting all the fur off the bag, but I got some of it off. This is one that I just got like last week. This is the Gothmancy Tarot. This is my number 2. And this was another Kickstarter. This is the first year that I've had Kickstarters come through. Oh no. Oh no. I knotted this bag in a way that I should not have done. Okay. I'm gonna have to pause this so I can fix it. All right, all I had to do was pull really hard. Okay, so this is another Kickstarter. This is by Stephanie Aaliyah and Daniela Efe. I was gonna like not, like you guys saw in my unboxing, I did not break the seal, but I broke it later because I was like, I want to use this tuck box and I want to open it from the top. So I did edge this deck in purple. I don't like this shade of purple. So I'm probably going to like go over it with something else at one point. But this shade of purple doesn't feel right to me for this deck. This is another one that like, this is a pop culture deck. Now I'm just going to be like, what? Look at these images. I might just go back to this deck when I get to that point with Lost Hollow that I'm using this week, where I'm just like, I don't know, I'm uncomfortable. I'll go back to this one probably, because this was the deck I was using all week last week. So there's a lot of Cure energy in this deck, as you can see here. The one thing, because like any time with a pop culture deck, there's always gonna be like a, but you left out blah blah blah. The only thing, I mean, there are like a few artists that I would have liked to have seen just personally, but the only thing that I think really was an oversight for a gothic tarot deck is there's no Shirley Manson in this deck. That makes me very sad. But this deck has the coolest color scheme. Like, look at this. The Pinnacles is my favorite. Each suit has its own like kind of color scheme, and the Pinnacles are the best because look at that. Look at these colors. The sort of like wine reds with the gorgeous like deep lilac-y purples or orchidy purples, and then the like olive greens and this like sort of peachy moment. It's awesome. And then the wands, this is the color scheme for the wands. And this is a very RWS deck. So like this particular deck for me really like really surpassed all the limitations that you usually get with a pop culture type deck, because it's art instead of like actual images of the people. So in many cases, it just like, it's kind of a suggestion of that person, but it's not trying to look exactly like that person. Look at this Tower card. I think this might be my favorite Tower card ever. I really like it. I think if I got this in a reading, it wouldn't freak me out the way the Tower cards usually do, but it would still have the intended effect of like, you know, shaking up your shit, you know? Anyway, so this one, because of the way the art is done, it kind of like subverts the problem that pop culture decks usually have. If that, I don't know if that makes sense, but, and also the fact that it's within an RWS system. So this is an actual fucking tarot deck. I think I have all my queens together here. Yes, I do. Okay, let's get out all our queens and look at them just for fun. And I didn't even point out that, like, when I was going through my walkthrough, like, I did point out that this is divine, but I don't think I made the connection in the moment that, like, it's the Queen of Cups and it's divine. And divine is the inspiration for Ursula from The Little Mermaid, the Disney version. Okay, I want to put them in the order that I like to put them in. And then we'll just gaze lovingly at them for a second. And then this way you can see an example of the color schemes in each of the minor arcana suits. I just love it. I just love it. I love it so much more than I thought I would. I was nervous about it because when I first backed this Kickstarter, they weren't entirely done with the art. So, you know, that's a thing that, like, you know, that's a little worrisome. So I was afraid that they were going to kind of rush through the art so that they could get the deck out. But, I mean, it does not seem like this art was rushed through. There's a lot of symbolism in this deck. There's a lot of ideas put into this deck. And it's still heavily rooted in an RWS space, which is where I need decks to be rooted in. Apparently, I'm not ready for anything other than that. And that's okay, because you can use tarot however it works for you. And that's what works for me. And it's just, it still has, you know, like all the things that I look for. You know, you still have a cat in the Queen of Wands. You still have a rabbit in the Queen of Pentacles. It's just, it's so gorgeous, and it is everything. And there's so many cool like references. Like each card has a song inspiration that is listed in the guidebook. And I made a whole playlist on my Spotify so that you can, and the creator, Stephanie, she shared it on her Instagram. She was like, somebody made a playlist of all the song inspirations. Look, go find it. So that was cool. And so it's just, I am just so surprised by this deck. I guess I had just been, at some point I must have just like really tampered my expectations before receiving this deck. And then once it got to me, I'm just like so impressed. I'm so impressed. They did such a good job. The color scheme is the most beautiful color scheme I've ever seen in a deck ever. It's got a lot of internal consistency, which is, you know, something that I talk about a lot with tarot decks, like, you know, with the color scheme being, you know, the same in each suit, you have internal consistency, but also it's great. It's great. My only two quibbles. One, I wish Shirley Manson was in the deck. I mean, to be honest, I wish there were a lot of pop culture figures in the deck that aren't here, but that's just, everybody has their own personal, like, pantheon of celebrities in their brain, you know, of like who needs to be in a perfect pop culture themed deck, but you're not going to get that unless you create that deck yourself. You're not going to get that. So that is a quibble, but that's not really a quibble. But the thing that I actually do wish is that there was more diversity in this deck. Diversity is not completely missing from this deck. You do get some, but not enough. So that's really the only real quibble that I have with this deck. But other than that, this is, I mean, that aside, this is definitely the most diverse gothic deck that has ever existed. I think we can do better, but hey, this is really in so many ways surpassed my expectations. I love this deck a lot. This deck actually, like, if I had had more time with it, it could have ended up in the #1 spot. I don't think so, but it's right up there. It's almost tied with my #1. And another quibble, I'm not super into the backing. I just, like, it's pretty, but I don't know if it matches the deck. But let's not end with that. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous fucking deck, and I love it so, so much, you guys. Okay, so that's Gothmancy, my #2. And then in my #1 spot, those of y'all that have seen any of my videos this year, it's the same #1. Is it #1? It was in my top 5 for sure, of my top 5 all-time decks, but it did come out this year, and that is Darkwood Tarot. I just scented it yesterday. Yes. So this one is my #1 because, like, I really did, from the moment I, like, took it out of the box, I was in love. It's just, it's my exact, it's kind of, it's my soul deck, essentially, like this and Marigold Tarot. But Marigold Tarot is my soul deck in the sense that it tells me exactly what I need to hear, whether I want it or not, kind of thing. Like, Marigold Tarot is my soul deck in the sense that, like, Marigold Tarot feels to me like the voice of Kali. Feels like the voice of, you know, my ghost guides and goddesses speak through that deck. Not that they don't speak through other decks, but they especially speak through that deck. That's the one they're most comfortable speaking through. But this deck is more just like, it is my personality in a deck. It holds the dichotomies of vampire and fairy, you know, within it. And that is kind of how I see myself. On a good day, I see myself in that sort of way. Sorry, I don't think it's, like, really focusing properly. But I love this deck. Abigail Larson is, like, my new favorite artist. I need to, like, save up some money and, like, buy a few of her prints or something. I also have her Nightmare Before Christmas deck that came out this year. And that honestly almost could have been on this top 5 too, because that one, even though I don't really care so much for the Nightmare Before Christmas story in general, and I don't really know it that well, honestly, that deck is so cute. So anytime if this bitch does more tarot decks, the artist Abigail Larson, I will totally, totally get them. Like, that's not even going to be a question, probably. She also, I've noticed some of her art being present on the Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab perfume site as well. So she's done art for some of their, like, perfume labels and stuff. Anyway, love this deck so, so much. Also, the author of the guidebook, Sasha Graham, she, this guidebook is written like a fairy tale. It's really cool. And it's actually just, like, I feel like this deck creates an entire world, you know, like, just the whole thing, just, like, opening it up and seeing this gorgeous Ace of Pentacles moment. It's inviting you, you know, you're being offered this whole world in a box, you know, and you get this gorgeous fairy tale with the guidebook, and the deck is just, you know, wandering through the forest, goth girl in the forest vibes all day, every day. It's I love it so much. It's just, this is the deck that like completely slayed me this year, and I know I've talked a lot about it, but it has completely slayed me this year, and it's definitely my favorite of the year that came out in 2020. So thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all are the best. I did have a request today that I do a walkthrough of the Kali Oracle, so I will probably record that today, but I have like several videos that I've already recorded, so I don't know when it's going to go up. I'm going to try to space them out. It's hard for me. Like whenever I do something, I usually upload it immediately. Whenever I make a video, I usually upload it immediately, but I actually filmed a video yesterday I haven't uploaded yet, and then I think I'm going to film that Kali one now. So yeah, you guys don't care. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all are the best. Keep an eye out on my Instagram for Wednesday evening. I'll be posting pictures of my new tattoo. I haven't gotten a new tattoo since the very beginning of 2019. I think it was like January. So it's been almost 2 years, and I'm very excited and I'm very nervous, and I've been waiting so long to do a back piece because like it just felt so intimidating. Like, first of all, you don't get to see it when it's on your back. You don't get to see it all the time. But also I've just been so intimidated by like a back piece is such a big deal. And anyway, I'm really excited. I'm getting bat wings, and let's not just sit here and talk about how excited I am about my new tattoo, because you can see pictures of it as of the 30th in the evening, or the 31st. So happy full moon, everybody. If you would like, my full moon reading is up on my Patreon. You just have to be a Patreon. You just have to be a matron/patron at any level of giving to get access to that. The information for my Patreon is below. And let me know if you want like a year ahead spread. Just go over to my Etsy and buy one of the like hour-long readings, or a half-hour reading. Either way, I can squeeze it into a half hour too. And just let me know in like the notes that you want it to be a year ahead spread, and I will do that for you. Okay, see you guys.